I don't care what anyone says, I love Multiversus. The roster is absolutely nuts. Nowhere else will you be able to beat the shit out of Jason Voorhees as Finn the Human. But as I tend to do with any other multiplayer video game, I wondered how these characters would fare against each other if going off of their canon level of strength. So I'll be ranking each one from the weakest to strongest. But let me preface the video by saying I'll be taking each character's form as we see them in game, so I won't be taking the Hellbat or future Steven into consideration while ranking. In the same vein, I won't be considering alternate forms or characters via cosmetics. Characters like Uber Jason or Cake the Cat. But I will mention the abilities that they bring into the fight, even if it's not something one would consider as part of their base kit. With that out of the way, we can start with our bottom spot. Gremlins is probably my favorite Christmas movie of all time. It is a Christmas movie, and I'll die on that hill. That being said, Gizmo is a cute and cuddly little guy. And I mean little, like 10 inches tall. Tiny. The big one's hurt. No notable feats of strength or anything. He does summon his inner Rambo in the end of the second movie, so that's something. And Mogwais are allergic to sunlight, and light in general. Deathly allergic. Easy bottom spot.
Banana guards! Give me a push! Yeah!
The Banana Guard is one of the newer and weirder additions to the roster. Adventure Time has a lot of great characters that could have easily made it to the game, so this one kind of felt like a waste of a spot. They're stupid comedic relief types that are kept around as fodder. The only reason they aren't at the very bottom is because they're much bigger than Gizmo and actually have a weapon.
When you were going out with Shaggy, did you ever have trust issues?
He dumped me for a dog. A dog!
The character that cemented my love for nerdy girls takes bronze for the weakest fighter, but gold in my heart. This one, not this one. She is pretty smart as the brains of the mystery gang, but not quite on that cartoonishly genius level of some of the other characters on this list. She's extremely average and very human in terms of physicals. I think it's more likely that Scooby is a very slow dog than it is that the gang is exceptionally fast. But she'd be able to stomp on Gizmo, and figure out a very simple plan to take out the Banana Guard if he doesn't accidentally take himself out first. Yes, I know it's Space Jam LeBron. No, I don't care because scaling the real LeBron James to Velma f***ing Dinkley is funnier. And I also don't want to watch Space Jam 2. LeBron is a 6'9" athlete and the physical embodiment of old man strength. His physicality obviously puts him above Velma, but all in all, being a normal dude just keeps him from being too high on the list.
This can go two ways, punk. One, you walk away. Two, I walk on your face.
Shaggy's the laid-back scaredy cat of the Mystery Inc. group. His moveset is almost entirely based on a set of memes from a few years ago. A little outdated? Maybe. But I'll take it over brain rot memes any day. But even ignoring Multiversus' Super Saiyan Shaggy, the guy can fight. I'm pretty sure we've all seen the bar scene where he kicks a bunch of bikers' asses. Call me crazy if you want, but I think Shaggy can beat LeBron in a fight.
Billy, in the department store.
Oh, Stripe.
Stripe is the big bad of the original Gremlins movie. He's bigger and stronger than the rest of the group, who are capable of mauling and killing a regular person on their own. But even with that being said, they aren't all that tough. They're bigger and scarier than their tiny Mogwai counterpart, but can still be killed like any other rabid animal, like being cooked in a microwave. Stripe does use saw blades, a chainsaw, and even a crossbow as a weapon, which gave him the upper hand against Billy here, and would have definitely killed him had the light stayed off. Oh, and he has a gun. Crazy how many points some lead will get you. He is particularly resilient though, staying alive for a bit even after exploding and being left as a skeleton. But sunlight being your main weakness does knock him down a peg or two.
Who taught you how to do that?
No one.
Now onto the slightly more serious characters. Arya is probably my favorite character from Game of Thrones. I still think Jon should have killed the Night King, but whatever. Last season sucked anyways. She's a highly skilled fighter able to tangle with other high tiers in the verse, who are also much bigger like Brienne of Tarth, who was able to fight and defeat the Hound. And she also killed the aforementioned Night King, although this alone doesn't put her on his level. She is able to go hand to hand with undead White Walkers who are capable of bursting through walls, scaling her to around this level of strength. She does have the supernatural ability to change her face, or rather shapeshift into another person, accessing their memories and physical bodies. Multiversus makes it seem as though she's able to access the powers of superpowered beings, but I'm not too sure what to make of it since it's unlikely she would have had previous access to a face like Superman's.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Had to go number 2.
Good to know.
Flag?
Harley Quinn is way stronger than people give her credit for. She has surprising physicals and is a proficient fighter. She can hold her own against some of DC's best like Batman and Nightwing, strong enough to throw people through walls and carry and swing around giant mallets, and she's fast enough to dodge automatic gunfire at close range. She is still human, but has impossibly high levels of strength and durability that anyone before her on this list would simply not be able to replicate. Not to mention her many weapons and explosives she always keeps on her, but not much for special abilities. She is smart. She was a therapist in charge of helping the Joker, but that obviously didn't work out as intended. She does have an immunity to poisons and gases, so that's something, I guess.
I went crazy. And I'm smart enough to admit it.
The Joker is a close follow-up to Harley, just as, if not more proficient in fighting than his ex, going toe-to-toe with Batman more often and having closer matches. Much like the Bat, a lot of what he's capable of comes with intense planning. He is just a dude, he's not popping out of Arkham and immediately causing world-ending catastrophes. Fast reactions, surprisingly strong, superhuman durability. He does seem to be making some kind of evil team in the Multiversus universe, so he does tend to thrive in any situation he's thrown in, but it's hard to scale that to a quantifiable power. There ain't shit for cinematics for this guy. I'm gonna come out the gates and say I could be massively underselling how strong this little reindeer dog is. Rain Dog seems to have the ability to sense people from across the multiverse. On top of that, the gem he holds gives him extra powers like the ability to shoot lasers or tether others to him. The gem itself can also shoot lasers, but there isn't much as far as his canon level of physical strength or durability. So assumptions based on his cute and cuddly persona is all I have to go off of here.
Can't we work this out? We gems should be friends.
I can't say I was a huge fan of Steven Universe. I just found Steven to be a really annoying protagonist, so is his low ranking bias? Maybe. He typically tries to help his enemies rather than beat them up, so he's not as battle hardened as many others on this list. And his more impressive feats come from his fusions or from his teenage angst form. He's a pretty unremarkable fighter, but what sets him even this high up is his pretty solid durability and his practically indestructible shield and bubbles. Jason will get his own video again, someday, but for now this will have to do. Jason is extremely deadly. Although his feats as a human left a lot to be desired, upon resurrection he reached a brand new level of power. He can easily crush heads, punch holes through people, or slice anyone in two with a single swing of his machete. He can even stab straight through a metal door. But what really sets him this high is his resilience. He can shrug off practically anything, and whatever can hurt him is regenerated soon after. He survived axes to the head, gunshots, and building destroying explosions, and even losing half of his body. He was killed in Jason Goes to Hell, but still inexplicably came back after that movie, so it's fair to assume he just healed from the barrage of bullets then too. As for special abilities, he can teleport. Straight up, you cannot tell me otherwise. This is teleportation, which is backed up by his teleport ability in Multiversus. He can also maybe possess people? I don't know, these movies were a mess. He's tangled with other slasher icons, some of which have literal superpowers like Freddy Krueger or the god killer Ash Williams. And I know I wouldn't count Uber Jason as his own entry, but it should be noted that regular old Jason was able to go toe-to-toe with this version of himself. As I've stated in a few other videos, I don't think immortality on its own is enough to skyrocket one's power level to the top of any given list. Jason can still be beaten and incapacitated for long periods of time. The Iron Giant is a big robot from the movie, The Iron Giant. He's portrayed as a benevolent beast, since he chills, eats metal, and hangs out with the main character. His size alone warrants a pretty high placement. He's able to very casually destroy cars and uproot trees. He's also armed to the teeth with guns and lasers, easily destroying vehicles and tanks with his attacks. He also has the durability of a giant metal robot, shrugging off gunfire where it only seems to upset him. A train can hurt him though, and enough electricity can put him out of commission for a bit. He was more or less killed by a nuke, but it is a nuke, so...
Embarrassing yourselves. I've seen what you really are.
No, you haven't.
Garnet's shown off to be the best fighter out of the main group of crystal gems. She takes on other powerful gems and has the strength to split mountains, and it stands to reason that she could take the same amount of force. She's also a fusion, I guess? I haven't watched the show, at least most of it. I think that makes her stronger than the little dudes. Sorry, it didn't fit into the holy Cartoon Network trinity for me.
Finn! What you doing?
Oh, hi, princess.
Finn is one of my favorite cartoon protagonists of all time. So is his high-ranking bias? Maybe, But Finn is no joke. He's physically a monster, strong enough to crush skulls and send enemies flying with casual attacks, and has some pretty nutty lifting strength feats, like when he suplexes a giant demon into a hole. His strikes are able to one-shot most enemies, including bears or giant gladiator ghosts. He's also able to hurt villains who are capable of destroying planets or even all life in the universe, like when he chops up the Orgalorg, who's a known destroyer of worlds. So it stands to reason that Finn has planetary AP, as crazy as that sounds. He was able to stab a 4-dimensional cube, or a black hole, and save the world, and put the paws on the Lich, one of the most powerful beings in the verse. He has both movement and reaction speed faster than the speed of sound, since he was able to see, close distance on, and get in front of a blast from a sound sword before it was able to hit Princess Bubblegum and Jake. His durability is also ridiculous, shrugging off elemental attacks like ice, electricity, and fire. Most notably when he was in close proximity to Flame Princess while she was hot enough to burn straight through the Earth's core, which means she was much hotter than 11,660 degrees Fahrenheit. He does know some magic, but the instances where he shows it off are typically in one-off episodes. But he does have some sort of mental resistance to psychic attacks, for whatever that's worth.
Jesus Christ, why is every old guy super jacked?
Morty has a reputation for being a nervous wreck, but he has some very impressive instances where he shows off his skill as a fighter, which probably wouldn't even get him over Arya Stark if going off that alone, but luckily for Morty he has a lot more on his side here. Morty does have a lot of modifications to his body set by Rick, like turning to a boat, or a car, but more importantly he has access to a plethora of Rick's equipment. Going off of what he has in-game, he has a laser gun, a laser whip, tons of grenades, and snake guns. He also has the ability to summon Armathy on a whim, which puts Morty's physicals on a whole new level, in one arm at least. But it gets crazier. He can make portals, has the gadget from the Vault of Acid episode where he can reset time to a point he chooses, he has the Earth and Fire Rings from the Hot Captain Planet Girl episode, and he can call up Rick's car. It stands to reason that Morty can use the car and everything it has to offer, including its tons and tons of weapons capable of taking out a small army effortlessly, fly presumably faster than the speed of light, among many other crazy abilities.
Hunter?
Oh my god.
This tech gives Morty a huge edge, so I can't place him any lower.
Vengeance.
Placing Base Kit Batman above the last few entries might seem a bit nuts, but so is counting dozens of crazy feats from decades upon decades of comic books. Although I do love the grounded detective side of the Batman comics. As a member of the Justice League and fighting alongside godlike beings, he has some pretty crazy showings. He's regarded as the world's greatest detective and a master strategist. He's also mastered every single known form of combat in DC. He keeps dozens of gadgets with him, including the classic batarangs, bat bombs, smoke grenades, grappling hook, you know, the sorts. He also carries knockout gas, electrical gauntlets, lasers that cut through metal, EMPs, etc. We'd be here forever if we listed everything he keeps on him. His explosives can level the buildings around him, his suit is bulletproof but even allows him to survive a multi-city block level explosion while in its epicenter, and survive a fall from space. He can go blow for blow with physical superiors like Killer Croc and Bane, the same Bane who stated to be able to lift over 15 tons. His reaction time lets him keep up with DC speedsters like Flash, Superman, and the Reverse Flash, all of which move much faster than the speed of light. Not to say he's on any of their levels, because he's not, especially without prep, but he's far from just a normal human. Okay, after listing the pretty crazy feats these last few entries have pulled off, there might be a bit of whiplash seeing a cat and mouse here. And this is where I kinda hit a roadblock. I hate Toon Force. For those who aren't aware, Toon Force is the battle community's way of explaining away the wacky things cartoon characters are able to get away with. They're meant to be silly cartoon fun, but when ranking them by power, there's certain feats that are hard to ignore even if they're far from consistent.
Hello, what about me?
No, you're not in this episode.
So even though they get hurt with everyday items like frying pans or getting knocked around, they can also survive being shot at point blank range and explosions that level buildings. And here's Tom picking up the sun, so do with that as you will.
Baking pancakes, making bacon pancakes. Take some bacon and I'll put it in a pancake. Bacon pancakes, that's what it's gonna make. Bacon pancakes.
Here's a short break in between the absolute wackiness that is scaling Toon characters. Jake is half alien, half dog who's generally physically superior to Finn. Stronger, faster, and more durable. He can grow and shrink as he pleases. Tiny enough to fit in Finn's pocket, and big enough to dwarf mountains. The largest I can recall him growing was when he grew larger than a small moon and threw his dad into a black hole. That's it, that's his best feat. He was also capable of holding some people back from the black hole Finn made, which would have ended the world if given enough time. His abilities also allow him to morph his body into weapons like axes, swords, hammers, you name it. On top of all that, he has some sort of regeneration, surviving when some owl creatures bursted out of his back. He can also move and manipulate individual organs inside of himself, like increasing the size of his liver when he was poisoned, or when he moved all of his blood to his thumb to survive a vampire bite. Taz is the hothead from Looney Tunes, and I hate him. He can destroy buildings and of course has his signature move, spinning so fast that he creates tornadoes. And why is he up here? He beat DC's Mr. Mix-a-Spitlick, the 5th dimensional reality warping imp. Because why not, at this point? Fuck it.
You have made me very angry!
You know, I have a friend named Marvin who looks a lot like the character. I won't tell you why though. Marvin has pretty high-tech weapons like disintegration rays. Before doing any research, I assumed Marvin would be around the middle of the pack somewhere, but he fought completely on par with Yosemite Sam, who threw a black hole at him, which Marvin responded to by grabbing a sun. The impact dazed them both, but they did survive and get right back to fighting, where they shot each other point blank and created a new constellation.
Okay, yeah, but I don't think it's about logic, Rick. I think the word has just become a symbolic issue for powerful groups that feel like they're doing the right thing.
Well, that's retarded.
Rick was a weird character to play because his power can vary so drastically. I don't like taking prep time into account too much because its effectiveness can vary wildly from character to character, and Rick is the perfect example of that. As the series continued though, he was made out to be always prepared for absolutely anything with tons of cybernetic enhancements, which alone would put him right under like Batman, but we've seen his higher end feats and just how much damage he could do with enough time. Because as we see in Multiversus, he does have access to his portal gun, which in turn gives him access to all his stuff, giving him the ability to stop time, access the car, all types of guns that just one-shot enemies, invisibility belt, and so on. He even has a neutrino bomb that could destroy planets or even solar systems, or whatever device he used to straight up kill whoever touches him. I don't doubt he could find ways to beat those I list above him, but I don't think he consistently wins most instances against them without some extensive prep.
Things will never be the same, because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
I could go on and on about how crazy the Looney Tunes characters can get in terms of feats, but comics get even crazier. Black Adam is imbued with the powers of Egyptian gods. He has increased speed, strength, durability, and intelligence. He also, of course, has the power to control his magic lightning similar to Shazam. He's strong enough to push the moon, fast enough to keep up and defeat Jay Garrick in a fight, and can fight on par with and even occasionally defeat other high tiers in DC like Wonder Woman or Superman.
Sword, check. Shield, check. Thirst for battle? Always check.
Wonder Woman is one of the most powerful characters in DC. In terms of physical strength, she pretty consistently pulls and pushes large celestial bodies like moons and the Earth. She was stated to be one of the fastest characters in DC, putting her well into that faster than light category, like how she resisted the pull of a black hole and saved Martian Manhunter from being pulled in, with the reaction speed to match, as she blocks Kryptonian's heat vision on multiple occasions. She was able to survive multiple faster than light punches from Hunter Zolomon, each of which sent her around the world. He was moving so fast he was time traveling as they were fighting. I don't even know. She still got up and beat him after this, mind you. Her bracelets can block Darkseid's Omega beams and her sword can pierce his skin.
Thanks. Cool costume.
Thanks. My mom made it for me.
Superman is one of the most powerful characters in fiction and still happens to be underrated when it comes to his strength. And there will be no Superman slander here. He's bulletproof, super strong, super fast. But the full extent of his power is very rarely shown because of how much he holds back. Going all out against each and every villain would lead to their deaths and the deaths of thousands if not millions nearby. He can move far beyond the speed of light. Although he's not quite as fast as some of the high tier speedsters like Wally West or Barry Allen, he can still pull off some ridiculous ridiculous feats, like moving so fast he moves through time. He also has the ability to phase through objects like any other speedster. He has the strength to pry a staff straight from the source wall, a feat that requires unimaginable strength that only Superman could pull off. He also lifted a book containing infinite pages, reasonably putting his strength at an infinite level. He was able to momentarily scrap the Superboy Prime, who's so powerful he punched a hole in reality, straight up reset the universe. He also has a slight healing factor and resistance to mental attacks.
What's up, Doc?
Bugs Bunny at the top spot, because of course it just had to be. While all the other Toon characters have unexpectedly crazy feats like summoning comets or surviving nuke-level explosions, Bugs is consistently a step above all of them. Reality manipulation at the highest degree, since Bugs has literally taken over as animator of Looney Tunes. Even as a Toon, he was able to grab and destroy the animator's brush. He also states that he can survive anything, which of course could be an exaggeration, but there's no reason to believe that he can't after everything he's been through. He constantly toys with the other Toons who can destroy solar systems or move faster than the speed of light, so if you want to take the Toon Force as the end-all be-all, as silly as it is, Bugs is canonically the most powerful character in Multiversus. Thanks for sitting through yet another video of mine. Do keep in mind that these characters are the ones that are out at time of the recording, but surely there will be more, like Agent Smith from The Matrix. Never watched it, so whatever. If you think I got anything wrong, leave it down in the comments. I admittedly am much less knowledgeable on a few of these characters than I typically am in these rankings, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Just remember, my opinions are objectively correct and I'm never wrong. I like Multiverses and I like ranking stuff, but if you want to take it seriously, then all the power to you. Thank you Macintosh, for today's thumbnail. Their Twitters down in the description, as per usual. Next video will be on Tomb Raider's Lara Croft, so stay tuned for that one. Discord will be on the community tab again, if you want to check that out, and I'll see you guys later.